What's up, guys? This is Pete, aka NY Guna, coming at you with some player ratings for Arsenal nil, Liverpool 2 in the FA Cup at the Emirates third round. So yeah, not a good day yesterday. FA Cup is a cup that I love, that I know a lot of Arsenal fans love, and unfortunately, the team, they played well in the first half in terms of creating chances, but again, it's the same story. We cannot finish our dinner. You know, when it comes down to it, it doesn't matter how many chances you create unless you're putting the ball in the back of the net. That's the only stat that matters at the end of the day. You don't win games based on XG. You don't win games based on field tilt. You win games based on goals and not conceding goals. And we just are not able to score goals right now. So yeah, let's get right down into the player ratings. I'm going to start with Ramsdale in goal. I thought Ramsdale had a really nice game. I think this is exactly what he needed. But again, this is going to make a headache for Arteta going forward. With our bad form the past 7 games or so, where we only have one win, not any fault of David Raya's, but now that you bring Ramsdale in, he looks good. He looks good claiming his balls. I don't think there's anything he could have done on either of the goals. I watched the free kick back. Trent is the best in the world at free kicks, probably for my money, especially in a spot like that. He puts it in a dangerous area, and Kivior puts it in the back of his own net. I don't think there's anything Ramsdale really could have done about that. I thought he should have had an assist early on when he got that long ball out to Reece, and Reece just didn't finish on that. And we'll get to Reece a little bit later on in these ratings. But yeah, Ramsdale quick with his decisions. He made that really good save when we were at 0-0 in like the 70 something minute, where he went down really quick to his right hand side and got to that ball that went through a player's legs even. So yeah, really nice game from Ramsdale. I think it's going to be interesting to see how Arteta manages the goalkeeper situation going forward. Knowing Arteta, he probably doesn't make any changes, but yeah, Aaron Ramsdale, I'm going to give a 7. And while I'm at it, he might be my man of the match as well. Okay, Ben White at right back. I thought Ben White had a decent game overall. A little bit iffy at times. He had that one-time shot where he kind of shot from the top of the 18-yard box. I thought that was a good attempt. I think we need more guys to be shooting from a bit of distance. But yeah, he's still not really overlapping with Saka enough. I'd like to see more of that. But I don't think there's much he could have done to really turn the game around. So Ben White, I'm gonna give Ben White a 6. Moving on to Kivior at left back. So Kivior had the own goal, obviously. Again, not a left back, but what choice did we really have, I guess, but to play him there at this point? With Tomiyasu hurt, with or Tomiyasu at the Asia Cup, with Yuri and Timber hurt, with Zinchenko hurt. So really not much choice other than the own goal. I don't think he had a terrible game. But again, other than the play, Mrs. Lincoln, other than that, how was the play, Mrs. Lincoln, right? So yeah, I think they tried to target him down that side. Luckily, they didn't have Salah there today to give him any problems. But again, on the set piece, he puts it in the back of the net. So Kivior, I'm giving a 3.5. William Saliba at the right center back spot. Another really good game from him. I think he's probably the other guy that's in contention of my man of the match. I think, you just saw more of the same from him, where he just is able to get out of really tough spots deep in our own half with some good tackers. He had a really nice play where he was able to keep a ball from going out for a corner, just wrapping his foot around a guy and just working it out of the corner. He's just really unbelievable. I don't think there's anything he really could have done other than what he did in the game. Luis Diaz was having a lot of issues. He had a lot of good last chance defending. So Saliba, I'm also going to give a 7. Gabriel, I thought, also had a really good game. And again, we're talking about all our defenders and for potential men of the match here. With Ramsdale, with Saliba, I'm going to get to Declan Rice as well. Eventually, I would like to be given this to one of our attacking players, but for right now, Gabriel, I think he did a good job. Didn't really give up anything in the middle of the pitch. Obviously, he had to help out Kivior on that left hand side. Gabriel, I'm going to also give a 7. Moving on to the defensive midfield, Declan Rice, another Really good game from him. I thought he brought some steel to the midfield. I thought we really did control the midfield for the most part. I know we brought in Jorginho in place of Havertz in the midfield today, with Havertz playing up front, and we'll get to him in a little bit. But yeah, Declan Rice, just really good, breaking up the play, doing what he does. I'm going to give Declan Rice a 7 as well. Jorginho, I thought you saw the good and bad of Jorginho in this game. I thought he held the ball well. I thought, he was a good calming presence in there for the most part. I think having him and Declan Rice in there allowed for Odegaard to be able to open up a little bit more offensively. But at the same time, you saw times where somebody would get the ball in the middle of the pitch and kind of burst by him, and he just doesn't have that speed to catch up with, even guys with average speed on the pitch at this point. But I don't think he did anything wrong. I'm going to give Jorginho a 6. Martin Odegaard in that, roaming 8 or attacking 10 position today with the two holding midfielders in there. Thought Odegaard, created some decent chances, but what I didn't like from Odegaard was that, number one, he gave up the foul for the free kick where Trent, put the ball in and Kivior put it in the back of the net. But I just also saw him getting muscled off balls quite a bit. He just doesn't have that, you know, that strength to fight off, a lot of the midfielders that you're going to find in the Premier League. I mean, it's a physical league, especially in the middle of the pitch, and a lot of times, he just gets worked off the ball, and I'd like to see him um, muscle up a bit. I don't know if at this point in his career you're going to really see much of that from him. I think he's 25 now, maybe even turning 26 this year. But yeah, so I thought it was an okay game from Odegaard. I'm also going to give Odegaard a 6 out of 10. Okay, now up front, we'll start with Bukayo Saka on the right. I thought Saka had an okay game. I thought he had a lot of good corners, especially early on in that first half. Um, to the far post and to the near post. I thought he was putting the ball, for the most part where he wanted to, and we just weren't able to convert on that. You had the one where Kai Havertz got a clear header on it, and we'll get to Kai Havertz in a second. But that's a great ball in from Saka there, and we weren't able to capitalize on that. But at the same time, I'd like to see him. There were a couple times where I thought he should have shot. And actually, let me go back to Odegaard for a second. There's a couple. Odegaard hit the crossbar as well. But there's other times where, he was laying it off to Reece, he was laying it off to Havertz, laying it off to Saka, where I'm just like, just pull the trigger, man. Just pull the trigger and shoot. You have that sort of quality. And I think Saka, kind of ran into the same thing a couple of times. So, Bukayo Saka on the right, I'm going to give a 6 as well. Who do I want to go to next? Let's go to Reece Nelson next on the left-hand side. So Reece is a guy that I like. I know I've said this a number of times, and I've been calling for him to get more playing time, and this was his opportunity in the FA Cup. He started on the left for Martinelli. Looking back on it, not the best decision in the world, but a decision that going into the game I was in favor of. I was okay with Martinelli being out of form, bringing in Reece, a guy who I thought has shown some good qualities when he's come into games, and Reece just didn't do it today. Reece had, like I said, Ramsdale should have had an assist. He had the one-on-one with against Allison, and he chose to bring it out wide and try to go around the keeper rather than taking it early on. And I think that was a bad decision. Obviously, he didn't score the goal, so it proved to be correct that it was a bad decision. But just didn't really bring much to the game other than that. And I think Reece really kind of did himself a disservice today in a spot where he could have proved himself and maybe opened up a lot more playing time for himself in the second half of the year. I think he kind of, gave Arteta, reinforced what I feel that Arteta was already feeling, and that he just doesn't trust Reece enough to give him substantial game time. So Reece, unfortunately, I'm going to have to give a 5. And Kai Havertz. So Kai Havertz today was our striker down the middle of the pitch. you know, when Arteta brought him in for 65 million, he specifically mentioned that he was going to bring something and improve our midfield. And the fact that today you have him starting at striker and not in the midfield, and he's shown that he's not really doing it in the midfield either, that just goes to show you again that we need to bring in a striker in this January window. I know what Arteta said after the game, that it's not realistic. But I don't care what you have to do. You sell who you have to sell. Like I said yesterday, if you got to sell Nketiah, if you got to sell Emil Smith Rowe to balance the books, you do that. Um, yeah, it's just you're starting Kai Havertz up there, a guy that you said was going to be a midfielder. You're not starting Eddie, and not for nothing. Eddie, I don't think was going to make any bit of a difference in this game anyway if he started. We need to bring in a striker. We need to bring in a goal scorer. We need to start putting balls in the back of the net. Kai Havertz today looked like he was moving in slow motion. It looked like he was getting the ball and he could have just you know struck it first time and put a shot on goal. And instead he was taking one extra touch, two extra, three extra touches sometimes where you're just like, what are you doing, man? Like shoot the ball. He has quality when he shoots when he shoot. Well, maybe I'm off base on that. Maybe he doesn't have qualities when he shoots the ball, but the fact is he's getting it in good spots, and he should be shooting instead of moving around and slowing down the play and putting it off to Reese or whoever it was. He just looks like a guy again that it looked like he was gaining confidence at one point, and it looks like him as well as the rest of our attack now is just so low on confidence, and they're just so there's so much talk about the lack of goals now, and they've made it a bigger thing than it needed to be. That it's just affecting everybody. And Kai Havertz today, I thought, you know, other than that, I thought he was okay in his movement and his pressing. But I mean, there blown opportunities, and that's why you have strikers in there to play goals. So if you're coming in as a number 9, I'm not bringing you in there for your movement. I'm not bringing you in there for if the wingers aren't firing, which they're not right now, you're in there to score goals. So score the goals, and he didn't do it today. Kai Havertz, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to give a 3. Okay, so we had Martinelli come in for Reese with about 25 minutes to play, I think. I thought Martinelli, made a difference to the game. I thought he was roasting Trent a little bit on the left-hand side, but again, he just didn't really have that final end product. And I saw a little bit still of what has been bothering me with him recently, which I didn't like in terms of his decision making. But Martinelli, I'm going to give a 6. And let's see who else came off the bench. I think Trossard came off the bench for a few. Yeah, everybody, all the other subs didn't really have enough time to make an impact and didn't make an impact. I'm going to give them 5s. Let's get to the manager, Mikel Arteta. So Arteta today didn't do himself any favors, right? He has the headache with Ramsdale now. It's just the striker, in the January window is going to be amplified now. And like I said, with Reese, I was in favor of him coming in for Martinelli before the game, but it just proved to not work. And you know, Arteta is the one here that is, I think, giving direction to the guys to not shoot and to have one or two more little intricate passes here and there. And on top of that, he's also the guy that spent 65 million pounds on Kai Havertz instead of putting that money into a striker or a goal scorer. Because let's be real here. Granit Xhaka last year in this team was way more impactful than Kai Havertz has been this year. And, I'm not the biggest Granit Xhaka fan, but those are facts right there. And I know it took Granit 4 or 5 years to do anything in an Arsenal kit, but we are not as good a team this year with Kai Havertz in it, who we spent 65 million on, than we were last year with Granit Xhaka in the team, and that is looking like wasted money now. It looks, I just don't understand why we had to spend 65 million on him. He had 3 out of form years at Chelsea. You're telling me you couldn't get a guy like that for 25 to 35 million? Like I don't get it. Just to get him off their books. He's also our highest earner on a weekly basis. I mean, it's just it's looking like a real bad decision right now when we had a lot of other needs that we could have put that money toward, goal scorer being one of them. So yeah, Arteta, not a good day for him today. I'm going to give Arteta a 4. I know we created a lot of chances, but at the end of the day, we lost, and we're in really bad form right now, and he's not doing anything to help the situation. The ref, I thought, had an okay game. 5 for him. The fans, the fans. Obviously, there was more Liverpool fans in the stadium yesterday because it was a cup game, so they had a few more tickets. But the Arsenal fans, they have to put up with this right now, and it's frustrating. It's frustrating for me. It's frustrating for all the other Gooners out there. So, yeah, fans, just for showing up and packing out that stadium, I'm going to give them a 10. Um, just not a good day. not a good day, not a good game. I wanted us to really make a run in the FA Cup. I love the FA Cup. We haven't played at Wembley in years now. I mean, this is the second year in a row we went out in the third round, the first round for us in the FA Cup, and that's unacceptable to me. I mean, we need to win something because Arteta hasn't won anything since that first FA Cup, which he did with players that were not guys that he wanted on the team. He got rid of most of those players. An Unai Emery team. There was no fans in the stadium. And yeah, it was great at the time, but we need something else. It's been 4 years now since we've won a trophy. It's been 20 years since we've won a Premier League. We've never won a Champions League. I know we're still in that, but we got to do something in this transfer window to get this turned around because it's going to spiral really quickly and it's already spiraling. And like I said, I'm not Arteta out yet, but he needs to do something different. He needs to make changes. He needs to bring in guys. I don't want to hear in interviews after the game that it's unrealistic. If you gotta, like I said, sell who you gotta sell. Bring a guy in on loan if you have to. We need somebody that can make an impact and an impact quickly because if we don't do something to turn this around, it's going to continue to spiral, continue to snowball, and we're going to be lucky if we get a Champions League spot next year. And I know top five is probably going to get Champions League next year, but we're going to be lucky to get that if we don't make any changes right now. So those are my player ratings, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Please be sure to like and subscribe. We have 2 weeks off now. So let's hope that I don't know if they're gonna go to Dubai for warm weather training or otherwise, but let's hope we can bring in some guys via the transfer market in attack and in defense over the next couple of weeks, get them acclimated to the team, and yeah, hopefully I have a little bit of hopefully I'm talking about some good stuff the next time I see you guys. But I'll have some videos out later this week in terms of transfer news, and yeah, until then, guys, be well.